For project 5-5, we'll learn a couple of more formulas and functions for different formulas. So first we're going to look at the data that we have, and these are stock levels for our company in 5 different warehouses with different merchandise, what the stock levels show. So we are going to calculate first of all the total of each warehouse, what the stock levels are. And if you can't see the warehouse numbers, we can expand the width of those columns. So click up here on column B, click and drag all the way out to F. And so I've selected all those columns, and then I can double click on any one of those columns or in between any of the two, and it spaces it out correctly so that we can see the warehouse numbers. So click on B12, and we're going to just put a sum formula to calculate the total of this warehouse, this column. Now we don't need to go to Formulas tab every time. On the Home tab there is an auto sum formula right there. And we don't have to hit the drop down either here, because if we're just doing the sum formula, that's the default auto sum. So click the auto sum button, and it guesses what we want to add up, and it guesses incorrectly here because there's a blank space, and so these are not all adjacent, and so it just guesses it's incorrect, so we need to change it. So click and drag. So don't always assume that it's going to be right. You need to look at the data and make sure it's selecting the correct range. Now that it's correct, press enter, and there's the total, and then we can copy that with the autofill handle all the way over to the right, and then sometimes I just double click just to check to make sure that it's correct on any one of them. Press escape to get out of that. Alright, stock levels at 0. If any warehouse has a level 0, we want to know, and so we want to put a formula in to check that. Now as you look at the data, there's no zeros in there, it just uses a blank cell, and so that's common. And so there's a formula for that, and it's not in the auto sum, so we'll just type it, equals, and all caps count, and then these are the count formulas. And there's a count blank, so I'm going to double click on that, and then give it a range of cells, so click and drag from B3 to B11, and press enter, and it calculates, or it finds all the blank spaces, blank cells in that range, and it tells me how many there were. So again, I'll copy that over to the others, and I can see how many level 0 stocks there are in each warehouse. Okay, for minimum number of units in any warehouse, this means that we want to find what's the lowest stock of all our warehouses, lowest stock level. So we're going to do a minimum function. So click on the drop down for auto sum and select minimum, and it guesses incorrectly again, so I'm going to tell it. So I'm just going to click and drag from B3 all the way to F11 because I want to know the lowest of all the warehouses, and press enter. So it finds the lowest number of all of them. Of course 0 is the lowest number, and we can tell that right above here, but besides 0 it would be 3. Okay, now the maximum number. So the same thing, except we'll choose the maximum formula and select the range, the same as last time, press enter, and quickly it finds the highest number, the highest level of stock out of all the warehouses. So that's good. We probably could have looked at these because there's not too many and found 35 fairly quickly, but if there were thousands of cells, we wouldn't want to manually look for it. So that's nice that it finds it easily with the minimum and maximum formulas. That's all for this one. Save it, and that's all for lesson 5.